Hey guys, Daniel here, and I'm still in prison, but fear not because I am digging a hole out of here. Speaking of holes, we have made an abyss. An anime about people having the urgent curiosity to go down this gigantic bottomless hole and rarely coming back. Warning, this anime will have an innocent touch to it, but by episode 10, everything will turn darker and more gruesome. And also, there's 3 episodes where they remove Riko's clothes whilst she's unconscious. Characters, Riko, an over-the-top charismatic optimistic girl, who seemed to have 10 cups of coffee every day, and she can also cook like a boss. Nat, a wimpy yet reliable friend. Shiggy, the brains of the group. Kyu, an infant. Reg, robot boy with amnesia. Leader, their responsible and strict teacher, but also like their brother. Hypnosis, there's an abyss in which cave raiders enter to dig up relics and explore the 6 layers of the abyss. However few return, because the ascent back up would most likely kill them first with nausea, dizziness, bleeding, and transformations. It is known as the Curse of the Abyss, yet this does not stop Riko and Reg from going down there to search for answers to their questions. Summary. Episode 1. Riko and Nat are separately cave raiding until Riko returns to see Nat unconscious and bleeding from a crimson split jaw that's about to eat him. She blows her whistle to get its attention. She leads it away from Nat but finds herself cornered, but then a blast injures the beast and sends it running. Riko traces the beam's origin to a robot boy, which they consider as a relic. They sneak back into the orphanage and try to awaken Reg in the torture chamber, because it's apparently Riko's room. They succeed but cause a blackout in which Leader comes hunting for Riko, but they escape with the help of Riko's retractable arms. Episode 2. The group try to find a way to integrate Reg into the orphanage without drawing suspicion. They set up a meeting between Reg and Leader, and Reg used a profile that he's a poor child, whose sister just died, leaving him homeless. It worked and they continued their daily routines until the Resurrection Festival. The elite cave raiders, also known as the White Whistles, return to the surface. Riko tries to look for her mother, Liza the Annihilator, in the group, but Uncle's Habo only shows Liza's whistle. Leader goes to comfort Riko, and tells her that Liza gave birth to her in the abyss, yet she only survived because she was placed in a relic that caused the entire group to abandon their mission, showing her mother's love. Riko is later then called to view her mother's messages and documents. Episode 3. Riko snatched one of the messages back to her room. She reads it and believes that her mother is still alive at the bottom of the abyss. The next day, Reg is training and Nat scares him by telling him stories of how children died on the day of their birthdays when they stared into the mirror. They all return to Riko's room, and she's decided that she's going to look for her mother in the abyss. Reg decides to accompany her, but Nat tries to convince Riko that her mother is dead. Riko runs out crying. It's the night they are gonna leave, and Reg visits Kyu one last time to tell him not to look in the mirror on his birthday. Reg leaves but is caught by Leader. Yet he manages to lie past him. They regroup to meet a guide, and turns out it's Nat, who apologizes. They get going, and Nat tells them that the story Reg used was actually his life before the orphanage. They say their goodbyes one last time, and Nat tries to possibly confess his love for Riko, but fails, yet it all works out and they leave. Episode 4. Reg and Riko wake up 600 meters deep in the first layer. They make camp and find an envelope in Reg's bag. The message tells them that Leader knew of their plans and is coming to get them. They hurry down and encounter a silk fang, but easily avoid it. Then a figure seemed to be following them. Turns out it's Uncle Habo, who's offering the two help as a guide, but they refuse his offer and continue into the second layer. Episode 5. They encounter a corpse weeper, which mimics the cry of its prey to create traps, but suddenly they are attacked by more corpse weepers, and one of them dragged Riko with them to feed their younglings. Riko starts vomiting and fainting from the ascent, leaving Reg to use the beam to kill all the corpse weepers. Riko wakes up half naked, and names Reg's weapon as an incinerator, while they cook and eat the corpse weeper, which just ate a cave raider. They reach the lower half of the second layer and find the seeker camp. Episode 6. They finally enter the seeker camp to meet Ozen the Immovable and her apprentice, Meral. Ozen was very unfriendly, sadistic, and creepy. She leaves them under Meral's care, and they got along well until one night when Riko followed a figure into the storage room to find a dismembered torso crawling around. She panics and returns to their room, before soiling Reg's bed. The next morning, Ozen offers them an explanation by bringing them to her chambers. She shows them the relic that saved Rico, and explains that she placed the torso in it to test how long it would live. Ozen also clarifies that Rico was born a stillborn and was only brought back to life by the relic, which leaves Rico terrified. Ozen also tells Rico that she found Liza's whistle at a grave, meaning Liza is dead. Reg tries to stop her, but Rico intervened and was injured. Meralt ran for help from the bandits while Reg uses his incinerator on Ozen, yet he refuses to shoot her and misses. Reg is beaten and finally faints. Reg wakes up to everyone there, and Ozen tells them that it was all training. She also tells Rico that the grave was empty, so Liza could still be alive. Ozen leaves the two of them alone in the forest for 10 days as part of their training, and also tells Reg to not use his incinerator, because he'll faint for 2 hours afterwards, leaving Rico undefended. They made camp, and ate a hippo that attacked them earlier. After 10 days, the two return, and Ozen rewards them with Liza's pickaxe, Blaze Reap. She also says her farewells and gives them both knowledge on the layers below. The two finally continue to the third layer, after saying goodbye to Meralt. They descend down and find a ship, but turns out it's a Madoka Jack's den, and it attacks them. Reg uses his incinerator and kills it, but the Crimson Splitjaw, that Reg injured earlier, returns. They escape it and Reg faints. Rico decides to drag Reg with her, but she falls into a trap. She cuts her way out, and starts running away from Neritantans, that think she's a fruit because of the juices scent. She reaches a slope and continues to climb it, but she starts hallucinating, yet she still reaches the top. The Crimson Splitjaw returns, and Reg finally wakes up to kill it with the Blaze Reap. They reach the fourth layer and rest for a while, but Reg notices something is following them, so they move deeper into some steam to cover them. Suddenly, an orb piercer attacks them, and Rico tells them that its spines are extremely poisonous and can pierce metal. Warning, the next part is the dark part, and you can skip 30 seconds forward by double tapping thrice on the right. Reg uses a scaled umbrella to stop the beast, but its spines pierce through it and into Rico's hand. Reg pulls it out and they retreat by ascending. Rico starts bleeding out from her eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, yet she still tells Reg to cut her hand off. Reg panics and looks at her hand only to see that it's bloated from the poison. Left with no choice, Reg complies. He breaks her arm and pulls out his knife. Reg starts cutting her arm off, and he turns to check on Rico, but she already fainted from the extreme pain. He then realizes that she's no longer breathing. A figure starts approaching them, and advises Reg on how to get Rico breathing again. The figure brings them to her home and introduces herself as Nanachi, a hollow. Nanachi starts treating Rico, and sends Reg to gather some stuff, but he bumps into another hollow named Mitty. Nanachi explains that hollows were once humans, who lost their humanity after ascending from the 6th layer, and most would be killed by their fellow cave raiders. Reg returns with the materials, only to find out that only one of them was useful in treating Rico, and the rest were food. Nanachi stitches the shrooms on while Reg goes to wash Rico's blood-stained clothes. Reg also starts remembering his memories of mourning with Liza. Episode 12, Kiryu is having a fever on his birthday and they bring him to a medical ship, where he immediately gets better without the need for medicine. Lida then remembers several other children have died of the unknown illness on their birthdays. Back in the Abyss, Reg and Nanachi agree on a deal that she will teach Reg about the curse of the Abyss in exchange for removing the orb piercer. She explains that the curse is just several layers like the force field, that can only damage them when they break it by ascending. They can avoid it by protecting their heads more. Once done, they went to deal with the orb piercer. They send it packing, and manage to save a cave raider, who relayed a message for them back top. Nanachi then asks Reg to kill Mitty. A flashback from Nanachi shows the White Whistles conducting tests on children to see if they will turn into hollows and survive. Mitty and Nanachi were best friends, but they were put to the test, and Mitty became an unkillable hollow, yet the White Whistles were still torturing her. They escape the facility, and Nanachi's been finding ways to put Mitty out of her misery, but only Reg's incinerator could do it. Reg finally agrees to kill Mitty, but Nanachi must promise that she would not commit suicide after that. Reg is about to shoot Mitty, when Nanachi stops him to apologize and comfort her. She then returns to Reg and tells him to shoot. Riko's finally awake, and she teaches Nanachi how to cook. They go to a hot spring to heal Riko's arm and Reg is forced to join in. They remove the shrooms, and ask Nanachi to join them. She agrees and they start preparing for the journey. They also sent a letter for their friends before leaving.